test. I want to test my boost control solenoid, and I've come into the Motec system here and went to auxiliary outputs, and then auxiliary 7 is boost control. It's just going to send a frequency at 20 hertz for 10 milliseconds apart for a 20% duty cycle. If you calculate that, that's what that means. So if you hit this start test, I should be able to hear that baby click. Here we go. Very cool. That means our boost control solenoid is hooked to the Motec and working. So when I go to start changing parameters, that's what's going to control the boost from the turbo. All right, just a quick update trying to stuff all this in the sled here. Proven to be a challenge to get all of these wires tucked underneath this bulkhead. You really don't have any access from the front or the back. I got this massive knock sensor connector, fuel pressure regulator, fuel pressure voltage, PSI, sorry. That's got to go up here, not enough wire. I've got, I need more wiring going to my gauges. I gotta finish this plug, so it's proven to be quite a challenge to get all of that wiring loom from that plug and play harness in here when it was not designed to have a supercharger oil tank, a filter, an outlet. Otherwise all that stuff would fit nicely right here, but just got to keep moving things around and hopefully we get there. All right, just made a little extension harness for my fuel PSI pressure. So went from there to there. That'll run all the way up into this neighborhood here. Right there's the fuel gauge. I'm gonna mount it near the OEM regulator. I think this should be enough wire to get up there. All right, just a quick overview. Got my wiring figured out for the most part. This is gonna run up to my FPR. I'm gonna run it along the delta brace here and get up into here. Also made a new harness, and I'm going to connect that to my output 3 for my accessory gauges. I've got actually redundant gauges on there from the sled previous, so so I'm going to run the there's a temperature gauge, a boost gauge, and a wideband here. That's what I had run the sled with historically. I'm going to keep them on. This sled will get redone next year with all of this, but I thought it'd be good to have a redundancy for the Raspberry Pi based dash, so I could just kind of keep an eye on everything and make sure that the data I'm getting is correct. So more to come. All right, just took a time out to try to rethink where I'm going to put this ECU. I didn't like how it was mounting here in the nose. It could work, it can still work, but check this out. This is pre-existing battery box, and I've just kind of put the unit underneath it, and this came in the MPI supercharger kit. I think I could fab this up and get this on these rubber isolators to make this whole battery box float on rubber, and bend this tab 90 degrees or put a piece of angle here and fasten it here and here, and that whole thing can vibrate, or the whole thing can be a dampener. I'm going to try this, which I think I'm going to. I need to move these connectors from coming out next to this charge tube to coming out more underneath the, in here, the barometric pressure sensor. I'm going to have to relocate that, and then theoretically I should be able to mount that ECU upside down underneath the battery tray in that big hole and squeeze it all in here. So I'm going to have to pull out everything I've done and redo it. Just the way it goes. Alright, this is the bracket that held the factory ECU in there. This was a devil to get out, working around the supercharger and the oil feed for that. But got it, and that's the barometric pressure sensor. So it needs that to calculate absolute pressure. So now I've got enough room. I'm going to try to get those two big Motec plugs up through this space right here. Alright, so here's what I'm working with. I still have all this wiring inside here, but the main harness, I had this mounted under here, can fit here, and I can pull it through. When I push this into place, I got enough slack here I can pull to pull this back in here, but then also to be able to let it loose when I need to move this and unplug it. I can let it come out here, and then when I go to push it back in, there's a big trunk I can grab here on this side and sort of, it's not very easy though. I don't like how I can't see how things are laying in there. I feel like I'm gonna pinch or break a wire and then I'm gonna be chasing a problem, so keep at it. Right, getting closer. I have the Motec actually plugged into the harness now, and there would be a certain order to get this out. I have to raise this up. Oh, it disconnected. Shoot. It was close. I'm pretty much back to the drawing board. I basically pulled the entire harness from here out here. Not sure where to go from here. I think I need to clean up some of these plugs, tie them to the trunk, and then try to slide the trunk in a controlled manner. This isn't working out the way I hoped. Kind of a good reason why these weather packs are pretty fun to use. Pulling this out, I can see that I've got two wires wrapped around this main trunk and I can't get them out. So I'd have to already cut this harness, but with this little D-pin tool, you can push that in and then slide this out. And then when you're done, you can just go ahead and put it right back in. I like to flare out these little wings just a little bit so that they grab again. I don't think you need to even do that, but you can hear it clicking there, and then you slide over your shield and boom, nice solid connection again. Very handy. Here's the problem I'm running into is this needs to connect to the Motec. This needs to be able to be accessible to download and change the tune. And of course this is all buried underneath an intercooler. And the power plug needs to be plugged in. And I think this is way too short. I think this should be about 10 inches longer. And then all of these plugs. So this is the plug that plugs into the sled. This is the plug that plugs into the Motec. And that's all I need, but I get all this other stuff. And it's just so thick. And it doesn't want to move around in there. And this trunk is an inch thick. So I think I need to figure out how to make this trunk consolidated and somehow get it to fit in that front bulkhead a lot better. More to come on this. All right, I just started zip tying. I'm just trying to clean this up and basically created this packet. This plugs into the sled. This plugs into the Motec. This is how I tune it to my computer. This is the power. I'm gonna try to attempt to shove that in the hole, see if it'll fit, and if it does, then I might just wrap this with test tape. Alright, it's close. Might be onto something there. Going to keep playing with that, see if I can't shrink that a little bit more. Trying not to bend any wires or screw anything up. And maybe try to slide that in there. Looks like I might have to put the ECU back on the front nose somehow. Just the only way I can figure to make it work. It's crazy, the radius bend of this between these plugs and this. There's just too much there. It won't compact. So limited by the factory plugs being right underneath this brace that this has to plug into, and somehow to loop that back around and plug into the ECU underneath there just isn't going to happen. Had a nice bundle that finally made sense, but won't fit. Gonna take it apart and get down to smaller chunks. Kind of funny, I cut off these extra wires from my PDM, the amp link. It says circuit 1 and trigger 1 on there. And guess what I have to extend? Circuit 1 and trigger 1 from this connector. So just goes to show you can never throw away any extra wire. This would be perfect to extend this out, and this connection will end up underneath the bulkhead. So, right. I'm making some progress here. These are those little can and ignition modules. I wrapped them in this nylon braid so that they're smooth, so they wouldn't hang up while I was inside there. I've extended my power harness up to level with the plugs, so that'll make connecting this a lot easier, and this will lay in a lot nicer. I got these tied up into just a pretty small compact unit, and then the rest of this I'm going to run. So I think what I'm going to try to do is fish this down through and come up, and I think this will be good. This will be, I'm really happy with how this turned out, and for reliability, bouncing down the trail, none of this stuff will be chafing or anything. So I guess it's good to take the time and do it right. Much deliberation. I'm back where I started. Gonna put the Motec in the front. It took some time to fabricate a makeshift bracket just to see if this is gonna work. And so far, I'll be able to fasten the bracket here. The Motec is on all 4 rubber isolators, and it's basically sitting there completely away from the frame. There's a slight notch in the frame back here where this plate slid into, kind of like a slit, and I just took a grinder, just went in there a little bit so that the bracket is very well secured. You really can't move once it's in there and in place. So I think I'm going to go with this for now. The wires, I'm hoping will get up here and reach. Everything clears around supercharger tank. I'm going to test fit the intercooler next. All right, that's clearing everything. It's extremely tight, as we knew it would be. But that looks like that's going to be our home. She clears. Everything clears. Everything fits. Intercooler fits. The battery will fit where it was. Whew. Moving on. It's good news.